Imagine waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. The room is silent enough that you can hear your own heartbeat. A glowing clock reminds you that another precious hour of sleep has slipped away. Almost instantly, anxiety creeps in. Is something wrong with your body? Have you become another victim of the modern sleep epidemic? But here's the astonishing truth. For tens of thousands of years, our ancestors often woke in the middle of the night. And according to evolutionary science, that midnight awakening may not be a flaw at all. It could be an ancient survival mechanism that once kept humanity alive through the darkest nights on Earth. For decades, we have been told that our ancestors enjoyed long, uninterrupted nights of perfect sleep, falling asleep shortly after sunset and waking only with the first light of dawn. It sounds comforting, but the evidence tells a very different story. To uncover what human sleep truly looked like before electricity, scientists traveled to some of the last traditional societies on Earth, including the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. These communities still live in ways that closely resemble the lifestyles of our prehistoric ancestors. Researchers monitored their sleep patterns over thousands of nights using wearable activity trackers, expecting to discover the ideal form of human sleep. Instead, they found something astonishing. On average, these groups slept only about 6.5 hours each night. They rarely went to bed immediately after sunset, often remaining awake for more than 3 hours after darkness fell. Yet, despite sleeping less than many modern recommendations suggest, they showed remarkably low rates of insomnia, obesity, diabetes, and other sleep-related disorders. So perhaps the real question isn't whether we're sleeping too little. Perhaps we're misunderstanding what healthy sleep has always been. Before we continue, let us know in the comments. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and assumed something was wrong? Or do you think waking during the night might actually be a completely natural part of being human? Your answer may be closer to the truth than you realize. But if our ancestors didn't sleep soundly through the entire night, another question emerges. How did they survive? Imagine a small group of hunter-gatherers sleeping beneath the open sky. Beyond the fading glow of the fire, predators roam through the darkness. A single moment of complete vulnerability could mean the end of an entire family, or even an entire camp. Conventional wisdom says someone must have stayed awake as a dedicated guard. Surprisingly, science suggests something even more remarkable. Researchers studying the Hadza discovered that during weeks of observation, there were only a handful of minutes when every adult in the camp was asleep at the same time. Without assigning guards, the group naturally maintained nearly continuous vigilance. Young adults tended to stay awake later into the night, while older adults woke long before sunrise. Their different biological clocks overlapped perfectly, creating what scientists call the sentinel hypothesis, an evolutionary safety system built directly into human sleep. Now comes the controversial part. For years, modern medicine has often portrayed older adults waking frequently at night as a decline that should always be corrected. But what if, at least in part, this pattern isn't simply a defect? What if it is an ancient survival trait that once protected entire communities from danger? If that's true, one of the behaviors we now label as a sleep problem may actually be one of evolution's greatest achievements. But the mystery doesn't end with hunter-gatherers. It turns out that waking up in the middle of the night wasn't unique to prehistoric humans. For centuries, it was also perfectly normal across Europe. Historians examining medieval diaries, court records, medical texts, and literary works repeatedly found references to a first sleep and a second sleep. Between those two periods, people often spent 1 or 2 peaceful hours awake. They prayed. They talked with family. They reflected on dreams. Some even visited neighbors or tended their animals before returning to bed. Then everything changed. The Industrial Revolution flooded the night with artificial light. Factories demanded longer working hours. Society slowly abandoned its ancient rhythm, replacing it with the modern expectation of one uninterrupted 8-hour sleep. Within just a few generations, a sleep pattern that had existed for thousands of years was suddenly labeled as abnormal. Think about that for a moment. Could one of today's most common sleep problems simply be a mismatch between an ancient brain and a modern world? If you're enjoying this journey into humanity's forgotten past, take a second to hit the like button. It tells us you're interested in science-backed stories like this and helps more curious minds discover the channel. And as you'll see next, nighttime wasn't just for sleeping. It may have been the very birthplace of storytelling, friendship, and the first social network in human history. Once the hunt was over and darkness settled across the landscape, something extraordinary began to happen. The fire was no longer just a source of warmth. It became the center of human civilization. Anthropologist Polly Weissner spent years studying the Jew/Honsi people of the Kalahari Desert and discovered a striking contrast between life during the day and life after sunset. Daytime conversations were practical, focused on food, work, disagreements, and survival. But when night fell and everyone gathered around the fire, the atmosphere transformed completely. More than 80% of nighttime conversations revolved around myths, legends, personal stories, music, laughter, and shared memories. Think about what that means. Long before smartphones, long before television, even long before writing itself, our ancestors were already gathering every evening to exchange ideas, strengthen friendships, and pass knowledge from one generation to the next. In many ways, the campfire was humanity's first social network. Those stories taught children who they were, reminded adults what united them, and helped strangers become trusted allies. Some researchers even argue that these nightly storytelling sessions played a crucial role in allowing humans to cooperate in groups far larger than any other primate. And if that idea is true, then perhaps civilization wasn't born in daylight. Perhaps it was born in the flickering light of a campfire, beneath a sky filled with stars. But for some ancient cultures, the night offered something even more valuable than stories. It offered guidance. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, the Achuar people begin their day long before sunrise. Around 3 or 4 in the morning, families gather around a small fire, drinking Wayusa tea while sharing the dreams they experienced during the night. These dreams are not dismissed as random fantasies. Instead, they are carefully interpreted to help decide where to hunt, when to travel, and how to prepare for the challenges ahead. Thousands of miles away, in the rainforests of Malaysia, the Timiar people believe their soul's journey beyond the physical world during sleep. According to their traditions, spirits teach them songs in dreams, melodies that are later sung together in healing ceremonies, strengthening both the individual and the community. Whether these beliefs reflect spiritual realities or powerful psychological traditions remains a matter of perspective. But one fact is undeniable. Across continents and cultures, dreams have shaped decisions, rituals, music, and social bonds for countless generations. Now we'd love to hear your perspective. Have you ever had a dream so vivid that it changed the way you thought, made an important decision easier, or stayed with you for years? Share your story in the comments. Some of the most fascinating discussions on this channel begin with your personal experiences, and your story might resonate with someone else watching today. The next time you wake up in the middle of the night, don't immediately assume something is wrong. For most of human history, the night was a time for storytelling, reflection, dreams, and shared protection. Today, especially in the United States, millions struggle with stress, artificial light, and non-stop digital distractions that may conflict with the rhythms our ancestors evolved to follow. Maybe the real problem isn't our biology. Maybe it's the modern world. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more science-backed explorations of humanity's forgotten past. And tell us in the comments, should modern society adapt to human biology, or should we adapt to modern life?